Steelers Nation, take a deep breath, because what just happened in Pittsburgh wasn't your typical trade deadline. This was quiet chaos, the kind of behind-the-scenes drama that almost changed everything, and came this close to rewriting the direction of the Steelers' season. Behind closed doors, the front office moved with boldness, real conversations, real offers, big names on the line, and decisions that, by a thread, could have reshaped this offense completely. It was the kind of moment that shows exactly what this team believes. The future is now, and the line between almost and historic in the NFL is razor thin. But now the question goes to you, Steelers fans. Should Pittsburgh have pushed even harder? Was that missed move a blessing in disguise, or the one chance they'll regret when January comes? Smash that like button if you believe in this team. And in the comments, show your colors. Go Steelers! I believe! What happened behind closed doors in Pittsburgh wasn't just another quiet trade deadline, it was a near shakeup that could have changed the entire direction of the Steelers' offense this season. According to multiple insiders, the front office, led by Omar Khan, went all in trying to land a wide receiver before the NFL trade deadline, and not just any names. The Steelers reportedly pushed hard for Jakobi Meyers, Rashid Shaheed, and Jalen Waddle. 3 very different players, 3 different opportunities, but all with the same result. The deals slipped through Pittsburgh's fingers in the final moments. The details paint a fascinating picture. The Steelers offered the Las Vegas Raiders a package that matched exactly what Jacksonville put on the table for Meyers, 4th and 6th round picks. Vegas accepted both offers but let the player decide his destination. Meyers chose Jacksonville. Why? Reports suggest it came down to opportunity and fit. The Jaguars' offense under Liam Cohen is a modern, quarterback-friendly system, built on tempo and spacing. Meyers, a smart route runner who thrives on timing, likely saw a clearer path to consistent targets and a sunnier home base. Still, it's hard not to imagine what could have been if he had chosen black and gold, a seasoned receiver opposite DK Metcalf, giving Aaron Rodgers a precise possession target to complement the deep threats already on the roster. Then there was the Shaheed pursuit. Pittsburgh reportedly offered New Orleans the same 4th and 5th round package Seattle eventually sent for the receiver. Again, the team let the player choose. Shaheed went with Seattle. That one, perhaps, made a bit more sense. He'd worked under offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak before and knew the system. But still, the Steelers were right there, making serious moves, not just picking up the phone. This wasn't passive interest. This was a front office taking real swings to sharpen the offense for a playoff push. And then there was the big one, the home run swing that could have redefined the next 5 years of Steelers football, Jalen Waddle. According to Mark Kaboly, Pittsburgh was close, really close, to pulling off the blockbuster. Multiple picks were offered, believed to include a first-rounder and a mid-round sweetener. Miami's interim GM, however, got cold feet. That hesitation froze the deal in place. And just like that, Waddle stayed in Miami, and the Steelers were left wondering what might have been. Think about it, a duo of DK Metcalf and Jalen Waddle in Pittsburgh, with Rodgers feeding them both. That's not just an upgrade, that's a statement. You'd be locking in one of the most explosive wideout tandems in the league for half a decade. Instead, Pittsburgh heads into the second half of the season with what they've got, Metcalf commanding double teams, Calvin Austin III bringing quickness, Roman Wilson showing flashes, and the veteran MVS trying to carve out a role. It's not a bad group, but it's one piece short of elite. What's revealing here isn't just who they tried to get, it's what it says about how this front office views their window. The Steelers weren't acting like a team satisfied with good enough. They were acting like a team that believes they're close to something special. A team that believes adding one more dynamic playmaker could tilt the balance in the AFC. It tells you a lot about Omar Khan's mindset, calculated aggression. He wasn't selling the future for a one-year splash like the 2021 Rams, but he was willing to pay for someone who could be part of the next Steelers era. And yet, as the dust settled, none of the trades came to fruition. Vegas, New Orleans, and Miami all took the calls, and for 3 different reasons, all 3 deals died on the table. The irony? Pittsburgh's offers were right there, same value, same structure, but fate turned on player preference or front office hesitation. In this league, that's how fast everything can change. So now, with the trade window closed and the roster locked in, the question becomes, did Pittsburgh miss its shot, or did the football gods just spare them a risky move? Did Meyers' reliability, Shaheed's speed, or Waddle's explosiveness represent the missing spark, or would any of them have disrupted the chemistry of a unit still building identity under Arthur Smith? That's what fans are left to wonder tonight. You've seen how close they came, you've heard the details of what was on the line, but now it's your turn to weigh in. If you were in Omar Khan's seat, would you have gone even further to get that deal done? Because here's the thing, when you dig deeper into how close those deals were, it's impossible not to feel both excitement and frustration. Excitement, because the front office clearly sees what we all see. this team is right on the edge. And frustration, because every one of those near misses could have changed the offense overnight. Let's be honest, this season hasn't been about lack of effort in the front office. It's been about timing, fit, and just a little bad luck. Jakobi Meyers choosing Jacksonville wasn't about the money or even prestige. It was about system fit and quarterback stability. The Jaguars' offensive approach, led by Liam Cohen, sells itself to receivers, motion, creativity, and volume. The Steelers' offense under Arthur Smith has been effective at times, especially with those heavy 12 and 13 personnel looks, but it doesn't scream receiver showcase. Meyers likely saw more touches in a warmer zip code, but still, from a competitive perspective, if you're chasing a ring, the Steelers' locker room looks a lot more like a contender's environment than Jacksonville's does. That's the part that stings. Pittsburgh wasn't ignored because it's not relevant, it was turned down because the vision just didn't match what those players were looking for. Rashid Shaheed's case might be the least painful, because his reasoning had logic. He knew Kubiak's system in Seattle, had played in it before, and stepping into that offense made sense. He's a field stretcher, pure speed, a player who fits a very specific role. For Pittsburgh, his addition would have been intriguing, but maybe not essential. Still, it shows how deliberate Khan was. He wasn't chasing just anyone, he was targeting complementary fits. Shaheed could have added vertical juice to take pressure off Metcalf, but his absence doesn't leave a glaring hole. It just leaves you wondering how much more dynamic this passing attack could have looked with one more weapon running past safeties. And then there's Jalen Waddle, the one that makes your jaw drop. A 25-year-old superstar in the making, under contract for 4 more years, the kind of move that defines a franchise's next 5 seasons. Pittsburgh was serious. They were willing to part with premium picks, probably a first-rounder plus another mid-round selection. That's not something this organization does lightly, but Miami hesitated. It's understandable. You don't want to be the interim GM who trades away a player like Waddle and watches him become a legend somewhere else. Still, that hesitation closed a door that could have redefined the AFC's power balance. Imagine that for a second, DK Metcalf on one side, Jalen Waddle on the other, Rodgers commanding the middle of the field, and a running game anchored by Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell behind a massive front. That's not just a playoff offense, that's a Super Bowl caliber roster. The speed, the balance, the experience, it all would have fit. But this is football, and football often comes down to timing. A single phone call, a 5-minute pause, a name signed on the wrong dotted line, and everything changes. Now, without that big addition, the Steelers return to what they know: structure, toughness, and patience. Calvin Austin III keeps proving his worth as a route technician and separation master. Roman Wilson, though still developing, has flashed enough to keep fans excited about his long-term potential. And MVS, the wild card, is quietly the X-factor. His chemistry with Rodgers, built from years past, could give this offense the extra spark they missed at the deadline. If he finds rhythm, if his confidence clicks back into place, he could become Pittsburgh's own version of what Shaheed brings to Seattle, that sneaky, deep threat energy that punishes defenses for sleeping on him. But that's the story of this season in a nutshell, isn't it? So close. The Steelers have been flirting with almost since week 1, almost closing out games earlier, almost connecting on those deep shots, almost finding that offensive balance week after week. The trade deadline was just another version of that same story, almost landing the perfect fit. And yet, here they are, still very much in the hunt, still dangerous, still capable of rewriting the narrative down the stretch. The question now is simple. Does this version of the Steelers, with no new additions, just grit, cohesion, and belief, have enough to make that leap? Can this offense, as currently built, carry its weight in the playoff race when defenses start tightening up and every possession matters? Or did they need that one more receiver to truly put them over the top? Let me know in the comments what you think. Should Omar Khan have gone all in for Waddle, or do you believe the Steelers already have everything they need to make a run? And if you're part of Steelers Nation, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is on the screen right now, because what's coming next will define not just this season, but how this entire era of Steelers football will be remembered. When you pull back and look at everything Omar Khan has done since stepping into the GM chair, it's clear he's building something deliberate, not a win now or bust project, but a foundation strong enough to win both today and tomorrow. The trade deadline may not have produced fireworks, but the intent behind those phone calls speaks volumes. It tells you the organization isn't standing still. They're not satisfied being competitive. They're hunting greatness again. And it's worth noting, Khan's strategy mirrors what Mike Tomlin has preached for years: adaptability and patience without complacency. The Steelers didn't panic when the trades fell through. They doubled down on development. That's why you've seen Roman Wilson's snap count quietly increase over the last month, why Calvin Austin continues to get reps in critical moments, and why even MVS, who some thought was done, is getting another real chance. This is Tomlin's trademark. Build from within, challenge your depth, and trust your locker room. It's the same philosophy that's kept Pittsburgh relevant for over a decade. Now, heading into the back half of the schedule, all eyes turn to how this offense evolves without that new receiver. The line has to protect better, especially with Isaac Seumalo sidelined. Spencer Anderson steps into that left guard role, a young player with upside, but a noticeable downgrade from Seumalo's consistency. Against a front like Los Angeles, that's going to test not just him, but the entire offensive rhythm. Aaron Rodgers may need to get the ball out quicker, and that means more checkdowns, more design touches for Jaylen Warren, and fewer deep play-action setups. It might not be flashy, but it can win, especially with the defense playing at the level it's been. And that defense, man, it's easy to forget how special it still is when all the talk centers on trades and offensive weapons. Alex Highsmith just earned AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors, and TJ Watt continues to remind everyone why he's one of the highest-paid defenders in NFL history. They're not just producing, they're dominating. When you've got bookends like that coming off the edge, it changes everything about how opponents plan their offense. And now, going up against backup tackles for the Chargers, you can almost feel that storm coming. Watt and Highsmith live for these moments, national stage, primetime spotlight, the kind of matchup where legends pad their resumes. That's why, even without the flashy midseason addition, you can't count this team out. They win differently. They win ugly, but they win. It's what Pittsburgh does. You can sense that the locker room believes in it too. Rodgers doesn't look like a guy chasing stats. He looks like a guy trying to build momentum. Jaylen Warren runs like every carry is personal. And even the young guys, Austin, Wilson,